Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and today, as every single week, we have an incredible variety on the table, ranging from vintage Seiko to the most impressive of what vintage Seiko has to offer, to modern Rolex, to Amiga, to everything you can imagine in between as well. This is a very good drop, one I'm very excited to bring you guys. But as always, I want to start off by saying a big thank you. Last weekend was a great weekend. We had plenty of sales, so thank you all very much for that. And lots of emails as well with people wanting to sell their watches, so please keep those coming if you have a watch you would like to sell. The easiest way to do it is on the website, the sell button. Fill out the form and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But do keep in mind we are getting a lot of people wanting to sell their watches at the moment, so I'm doing my best to get back within 24 hours, but please do give 48 hours if it's the weekend. Just give me that little bit extra to get back to you, and keep it to one platform as well. Don't message on Instagram and WhatsApp and email and phone call. You know, keep it to one. I will get back to you. If I don't respond within 48 hours, just give it a little bump and I'm sure I'll get back to you nice and quick. Now, we are shooting this drop video quite a bit in advance. So the video goes live on Saturday and the drop hits the website on Saturday, but we're recording this on Tuesday. So I apologize in advance if any of these have already sold. Last week, you'd have seen a couple of them already went, like the Ghostrifter original. It's important to be quick. So what I'd suggest is following us on Instagram at Kibble Watches, and we share what's coming soon on our Instagram stories as well as on our profile. You can see the coming soon. We try our best to keep it up to date with everything that's available, so you can get on there and see everything that's coming soon and get your first message in before they hit the website and get the purchase. And already one watch that was supposed to be in this drop, an Explorer 2, has already sold, so you can see speed is everything when it comes to this, especially with the watches. So if there's something you like, get those messages in. Let's get you booked in to view it if you want to come and view it, and you can take it away on your wrist. So nice and simple. Talking about on your wrist, let's have a look at what's on my wrist. This is a WMT, really awesome subdiver. It's a watch I actually sold quite a while ago, and the gentleman has enjoyed it but wanted to sell it to get something else, so I was more than happy to buy this back. It will be hitting the website probably next week, but I am enjoying it in the meantime, so get your messages in before I change my mind, that's for sure. But that's enough of the rambling. Let's get on to what is on the table. And we've got to start with the Rolex Explorer 1. Let's take a closer look at that one. What a watch to begin this week's episode, the Rolex Explorer. In my opinion, one of the most quintessential Rolexes that's still no fuss and no faff even today. Now, granted, they brought out the two-tone, which is debatable whether that is actually no fuss and no faff, but the main core model has always stayed relatively same. It's a simple Oyster Perpetual automatic three-hander. You know, it doesn't have a date, it just does what it does, and it does it well. And again, the story of it is really great as well, depending on how far you believe back to the expedition and whether it was Smith's or Rolex. But either way, I believe both went to the top of the top of Mount Everest, so it does have that history, it does have that heritage, and they played it. You know, they played it well, and they made it part of the story of the Explorer, hence the name. And again, I just think it's one of those watches that you really can go anywhere and do anything with. It ticks all the boxes for everything you're ever going to need in a watch. 100 meters water resistant, screw down crown. This is the now discontinued 39mm, so size is really good. Robust, well built bracelet. You know, you've got your slight 5mm extension, which just helps for finding that perfect fit. Screw links, everything about it ticks all of the boxes. Now, the specific reference to this one is the 214270. As I said, that's the now discontinued model. This one's from March 2018 with its full box and papers. And this is the Rolex caliber 3132 inside. So nice automatic, reliable movement from Rolex, which they've used for many years. But that's enough of that. Let's show it on wrist and toward dimensions. And here we go on my wrists, which are just shy of 7 inches. Now, I've always liked the 36mm. I think the 114270, the final iteration, is one of my favourite Rolexes. However, the 39mm surprises me more and more every time I put it on. I think it wears really well, it looks really good, and as I say, it ticks all the boxes. I would feel fine wearing this in pretty much any situation, from, you know, a dressy situation with a suit all the way to going on holiday and going in water. You know, this would solve and sort of play well in every category. 39mm by 47mm lug to lug, 11mm thick and 20mm lugs, really universal in its sizing, will fit him, her and pretty much any wrist size you can imagine as well. Yes, the 39 does wear bigger than the 36 of course, but it's still very, very well proportioned. If you're unsure, come try it on yourself and make that judgment. But yeah, great watch. Go check it out on the website. Now from there to a watch you probably can't even see on the table. It's this gorgeous ladies 1978 Rolex Oyster Perpetual. Let's take a closer look at this beauty. So next up is this gorgeous ladies 14 karat yellow gold Rolex Oyster Perpetual, reference 6719. Now, as you can see, I've got no strap on it at the moment. Straps are incoming. We've ordered 3 straps that are going to fit this watch beautifully. So you're going to have an option of 3 different colors. I believe I ordered a light brown, a dark brown, and a black. I kept it nice and simple. I didn't go for any fuss because at the end of the day, those strap options are classic, especially with a champagne dial and a yellow gold case. And if the owner wants to sort of spice it up with a couple of colors, we have some great options in terms of strap tailor, I would recommend. So there's plenty of options there. But what a gorgeous example. It just come back from full service and a full polish. As you can see, it's looking absolutely beautiful. Really nice condition and a really gorgeous example. Nice original dial and hands, still with their tritium lume, which is nicely aged in there. And the serial for this one dates it to 1978. And interestingly, this comes with a Rolex service pouch and Rolex service paperwork from 1999. So it's got some sort of service history with the watch. Unfortunately, no box and no official paperwork, and the service we had done was not with Rolex, but some watchmaker we use who are Swatch certified and very, very good at what they do, as you can see. And as you'll see, when you wind and set the watch and wear it, it runs beautifully. Talking about that, what's inside is an automatic Rolex Caliber 2030, a very reliable movement that they've actually used for a very long time in the smaller ladies' Rolexes. And talking dimensions, because obviously I'm not going to show it on wrist, this is 24.5mm by 31mm lug to lug, only 10mm thick and 13mm lug, so a little bit awkward on that lug length, hence why we're waiting for some straps, and hence why we're providing 3 straps with it. So this is a fantastic option for any lady out there who's looking for a solid gold Rolex that doesn't scream too loud, because some of the modern examples are very flash, are very loud, whereas this is still subtle, it's still beautifully sized, and it's just an elegant timepiece. So go check it out on the website. And from there, the 2 Rolex, let's go over to what Seiko do well, and that's dive watches. And let's look at the best one, in my opinion, that they've ever made, and that is the 62 MAS. Let's take a closer look. So a incredibly special piece, and I have been excited to find another 62 MAS to bring to the website, because the last one we had was a new old stock example, the finest example that has ever come up on the market, unless there's obviously been other new old stock examples. It still had remnants of the stickers throughout the case. It was incredible, and that's gone to a very good collection that's probably never going to leave. So you know who you are out there. I hope you're still enjoying it. I know you wear it from time to time, which is great to see. However, we've got an example here which is still incredible, beautifully preserved, beautifully sort of, you know, kept well, which is very rare for these models, because you've got to imagine the time frame that these watches came from, which is the sort of late 60s. These were true tools. These were bought with a purpose, which was to dive. You know, this wasn't a case of today where you have your office workers buying dive watches because they like dive watches, which is perfectly fine. We're talking an era where these were tools. This wasn't about fashion. This wasn't about luxury. This was about utilitarian and functionality, which this watch ticked all the boxes, and it did so at a far more affordable and far more attractive price than the Rolex, yet it ticked all the same boxes, which surprised a lot of people, and I think it drew a lot of people to the Japanese way of doing things. So this is the Seiko 62 MAS, as it's known, or the 62 MAS. Specifically the reference 6217-8001. It's a very important reference if you ever find a watch with that on, as I have done in the past. I've found actually Seikos with that are not the 62 MAS with that case back on the back. Buy the watch, because that case back alone is worth money. But you can see this case back has faded over time. You can sort of see just about some of the engraving still on there. The serial is still nice and clear, which is important. But this one does date from January 1966, so this is an early example. The dial and bezel and everything is all original. That's an original new old stock crystal. We still have the packet and the old crystal provided, as this has gone for a full service and overhaul, so it's running beautifully. Now the lume pip has been recolored on the bezel. A little bit of a shame, but not the end of the world. They're very common that they fall out. Even the new old stock one we had, the lume pip had actually worn away over time, because they're just exposed radium basically, which is not exactly what you want to be putting your fingers on in the first place. But An incredible example. Inside is the automatic Seiko caliber 6217. A lot of you guys know that. The first part of the reference is the movement, the second part is the case reference. And as I say, January 1966, paired on a very nice 19mm Tropic. But let's show on wrist and talk dimensions, because this is where this watch really shines as well as all of its original parts and original look. And here we go on my wrist. You can see that just fits perfectly. I love how this wears. 38mm by 46mm lug to lug. That's just perfect. 13.5mm thick and 19mm lug. So yes, a little bit awkward on the lug length, but far from impossible, especially nowadays. Most websites that sell straps offer 19mm. And also we paired it on a classic Tropic, which works with the watch, and you'll definitely get more than you'll wear out of it, so don't worry. Obviously you're not going to be taking it diving anyway, otherwise I will slap you. You know, keep this well, keep this preserved. This is not something you put anywhere near water nowadays. So go check it out on the website and add this to your collection. From Rolex to Seiko, let's bring it back to the Swiss with Amiga, and let's have a look at this awesome AquaTerra World Time GMT. Let's take a closer look. So now onto this gorgeous watch. So this is a watch I remember when it came out at retail. I remember reading about it, I remember seeing photos, and I thought it looked gorgeous, but I was not sold on the watch at all. However, I've got quite a few customers who actually own this watch, on the bracelet, on the rubber, people who bought it on the bracelet and very quickly bought the rubber, and we'll touch on that in a second. And seeing it in the metal and on wrist, it is incredible. It wears beautifully for a big watch at 43mm. The design is absolutely perfect. I think Amiga have nailed this one, and a lot of people look at Amiga sometimes and go, well, they're just recreating the same old, right? They're just doing another Seamaster with new colors. They're just doing another Speedmaster with new colors and new metals and blah blah blah. This to me is showing Amiga pushing the boundaries and pushing what they can do and not necessarily what they have to do, and I think that's what is so beautiful about this. That center dial, go read about how it's made on the website. You'll be amazed. It is not painted, let's just say that. I'll leave it there because I want you guys and girls to actually bother going over to the website to read what we put, because there is a lot of effort put in over there as well. So absolutely gorgeous. It's a GMT, it's a world timer, it's got everything in there. Dates beautifully positioned down at 6, all the countries dotted around the outside. It's perfect. Now, as I was saying, this one does come on its original rubber strap, and the bracelet is fantastic as well, but it makes it wear that bit bigger. And this, as I say, is not a small watch, but it wears beautifully, especially on the rubber. And I just feel design-wise, this looks at home on this strap. You've got a nice exhibition case back right there, showcasing the Amiga Co-Axial caliber 8806. And this watch is from September 2018, and it does come with its full box and paperwork. Nice screw down crown as well, so you've got reliability in all situations you can possibly imagine. I think this is, again, another fantastic option done in a very different way to your perfect one watch collection. And now I would say that this watch falls into that category, because you've got world time, you've got GMT, you've got travel function, you've got screw down crown, you've got a watch that looks at home at the beach, and it also will look very, very good against a suit. Granted, very different styling, not your traditional suit watch or dress watch, but I think it'll look kind of cool as well. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. I just said the wrong reference and year, typical. I'll put a correction on screen for you guys and girls so you'll know it anyway. This is why you go check the website. The website isn't wrong. James is wrong, but here we go. So, beautifully proportioned, 43mm by 50mm lug to lug. Look at that. Amiga, listen to me. 50mm lug to lug is the sweet spot. 13.5mm thick and 21mm lug. So yes, a little bit awkward on that lug length, but I've got to be honest, if you're wearing it on this rubber, I think you'll be keeping it on the rubber because it is so comfortable. It looks at home and it fits beautifully, even as a bigger watch. If you're not sure on it, come in, take a look, try it on yourself, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So go check it out on the website and save yourself a good amount on retail. Let's stick to AquaTerra for a moment. Let's have a look at the 38.5mm blue dial, often nicknamed the James Bond. Let's take a closer look. Okay, so after getting the caliber number and year wrong on the last one, I got it completely wrong on this one as well. So we're going to be doing it again. So here we are. So this is the Amiga AquaTerra 38.5mm coaxial with the blue dial. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is often nicknamed the Skyfall because it's around the same sort of time that film came out. They did a lot of limited editions with this watch, and I believe he actually wore a watch similar to this, if not the same one. Could be wrong on that one, but an absolutely gorgeous example either way. Now this one has come back from a full service and full polish from a Amiga certified repair place that we use, so it looks incredible and it runs beautifully, and it took longer than we expected expected because it required a part from Amiga, so rest assured you're getting a thoroughly checked out watch and one that's working beautifully. You can see beating away right there is the Amiga Coaxial caliber 8500, which is the correct one, running beautifully and looking gorgeous. And as you can see, paired on its original bracelet, all links included, and just looking absolutely incredible. So this one is from June 2013 with its full box and papers, which you seldom come by with this reference. Often it's just watch only, or it's not got the bracelet anymore. So it's nice to have a complete example on its original bracelet and fresh from service, so with a 1-year warranty that's backed by Amiga themselves. So absolutely gorgeous example. Now I was saying previously that this is very similar in regards to the Explorer and the other watches we're looking at in terms of a great all-round everyday watch. This is certainly more wearable than the AquaTerra we were looking at with regards to wearing it with a suit or in a finer example. Or setting, whereas this is also still very reliable in the beach. You know, it's got screw down crown, 100 meters water resistance. It can do everything, and it can tick the box in all scenarios. Especially if you get yourself a nice blue leather strap to go with the watch, you can really do anything with it. And one handy little feature when traveling is, well, just in general, if you unscrew the crown and pull out one position to the date change, you actually change the hour hand, as you can see. And what it does, it independently changes the hour hand without affecting the minutes or the seconds, which is great, because what it means is if you land in another country maybe 2 hours ahead, you can quickly just go the wrong way, 1, 2, and there you go, all set and done. So nice and convenient, but let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on wrist. You can see that hugs the wrist beautifully. This is beautifully proportioned at 38.5mm by 45mm lug to lug, 12.5mm thick and 19mm lug. So a little bit awkward on that lug length, but not impossible. An absolutely stunning watch and well worth checking out and picking up today. And the final Amiga on the table, another very well proportioned watch, and we'll touch on that in a second, but that is the Railmaster Trilogy Edition. Let's take a closer look. So next up we have the Amiga Railmaster, one of the first sort of core line watches from Amiga, along with the Seamaster and Speedmaster and so on. Hence why when they brought this watch back out in the Trilogy Edition, they brought the Railmaster, Seamaster and Speedmaster, all true to original designs and very true to original proportions. Not quite exactly, but you know, modern standards without being huge, which is really nice, and we'll touch on that in a second when we talk dimensions. But this is a beautiful example. Nice sort of grey dial. It isn't quite black. Faux patina, which you'll either love or you won't. Paired on a nice flat link bracelet, nice big clasp which has adjustments on there as well with a glide push lock, which is very good for setting and going as you please. As you can see, the watch is worn, but it's been kept in very good condition, worn sparingly. And I won't bore you with the long reference of this, you can see it on the website, but inside is the Amiga Coaxial caliber 8806, and this is from September 2018, and it does come with its full box and papers, which is the correct special box as you'd expect with this watch. We've sold the previous trilogies. We've actually, I think, sold all of them, and we've sold the Speedmaster a couple of times over. They're all fantastic. I think value for money when you look at the size, proportions, just sort of usability of them, they're brilliant, and also collectability. They seem to be definitely getting more and more attention as time goes on. This was limited to 3,557 watches, so it's not exactly a small limited run, but far from it. But they don't actually seem to appear that often. If you take a look online, you'll see for yourself that fact as well. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on wrist. So whilst this is 38mm, it actually wears a little bit larger in my opinion, thanks to those very straight flat lugs, very true to the original. So it's 38mm by 48mm lug to lug, only 12.5mm thick and 19mm lug. So endless options, because there are plenty of options out there, and this also does come with a strap change of 2, maybe 1 or 2, I can't remember. Have a look on the website, the description will say it and the photos will show you, but go check it out today. Where to go next? We have so many great options. I think we're going to go with the Zenith El Primero. You guys and girls know I love Zenith, and this one is no exception. An absolute beauty. Yes, a bigger size, and we'll touch on that, but it still wears beautifully. So let's take a closer look. Now we are on to something that I think looks fantastic. This is the Zenith El Primero Chronomaster Open. 42mm as it's often referred to. Obviously the open refers to that open dial right there. You can see the beating heart spinning away. It just looks incredible, especially because these are high beats movements. And as we start the chrono, you can see it spinning around. Absolutely gorgeous. Really fine example. As I said at the start, a slightly bigger watch, which we'll get onto in a second, but still very wearable. You can see it's paired on its original strap and deployant. Nice exhibition case back right there, which has been slightly more skeletonized than standard, and that is the Zenith El Primero caliber 4061. Now the reference to this is the 03.2040.4061, a nice long reference for you, as you'd expect from Zenith, but still the classic dial layout, just with the open heart there instead of the sub-seconds. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Again, this is for the guy or girl out there who wants a classic Zenith El Primero, but with a slight twist. So that's just that little bit extra, and that open dial certainly provides that, and I think it will tick a lot of boxes for you out there who are into this sort of thing. Now, this one is from circa 2018. It does come with its box and booklets and chronometer certificate, but unfortunately the original card has been lost when it went off for a service with Zenith a little while ago, which is a shame, but a gorgeous example nonetheless, and one that, as I say, I think a lot of you guys and girls are really going to appreciate, especially if you get the chance to try it on wrist. And I would recommend, if you're unsure on the size, come in, try it on and see for yourself and make that judgment. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. Now, one thing to keep in mind, an extra hole has been put in by the previous owner of this watch in the strap. Now, that extra hole fits me, so it goes to show how long this strap actually is. So it's made for people with much bigger wrists than I have, so do keep that in mind if you have a smaller wrist than I do. So we'd have to get you a new strap. But this is 42mm by 50mm lug to lug, 13mm thick and 21mm lug. So a little bit awkward on that lug length, but again, not impossible. There's plenty of strap makers out there who can produce fantastic straps for this watch. But really gorgeous piece. One certainly worth checking out if you're in the market for an awesome chronograph. This may be the one for you. So go check it out on the website today. From there to arguably one of the best Grand Seikos, and that's arguably for sure because it's personal preference, but for me, the best Grand Seiko they have made, that is the Elegance GMT with sort of the cream dial. Let's take a closer look at this. Next up, as I said, one of my favorites from Grand Seiko. This is the Grand Seiko Elegance GMT with the cream dial. Specific reference is SBGM221G, a gorgeous watch. Let's take a closer look. As you can see, this is automatic, not coaxial, which, to be honest, I prefer. I have nothing against coaxial. I think it's a fantastic technology. It's really impressive. But for me, a traditional automatic or a standard quartz will be my point of preference. You've got a date over there at 3 o'clock, a nice blued GMT hand, which contrasts so well against the cream of the dial, but also the Zaratsu finishing of the hands and the indices. Everything catches the light, everything plays with the light, and everything gives a sort of a far more luxurious feel than what the price tag will lead you to believe. You know, from a distance, the finishing, the sort of condition, everything gives off Patek vibes in my opinion, but a fraction of the cost, which is what I absolutely love. You can see the case is absolutely gorgeous. This has been worn, but very lightly, so it's in very good condition. Beating away inside there is the automatic Grand Seiko caliber 9S66, and this one's from May 2020 with its full box and papers and original strap and deployment buckle, which is very comfortable as well. So a great watch, a great example, and all offered at a fantastic price as well. These have slowly crept up over the years, and it's been great to see it as people are becoming more and more aware of Grand Seiko, but also more accepting of buying Grand Seiko. So there was certainly a point a couple of years ago where everyone knew how good Grand Seiko were, but not everyone was willing to sort of put their money where their mouth was and actually buy a Grand Seiko. Whereas now I'm starting to see collectors shift over to Grand Seiko and never considered them before. So it's really great to see. But let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. As you can see, it fits beautifully. The strap is correct going this way. Patek, Seiko, many other brands actually do it the reverse way. There's varying reasons why, but the one I've heard, which has been validated by a couple of people, is apparently in Japanese culture it's offensive to have the strap pointing outwards towards the customer. Therefore, when it's pointed inwards, it's pointed towards you. Again, whether the truth of that is correct or not, I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard multiple people say that reason, so maybe it is correct. But anyway, so this is 39.5mm by 46.8mm lug to lug, so just under 47mm, 14mm thick and 19mm lug. So again, a lot of these brands are going with that awkward lug size, but it isn't impossible. I have seen Strap Tailor actually produce multiple straps for this watch, and it has drilled lug holes to make strap changing super simple. and super easy, so go check this one out on the website. Now, where to go, where to go? You know what, one of the best values on the table, I would say, and that is this Monte Triumph. Let's take a closer look at this watch. Now onto a watch that has seriously surprised me, and I think value for money, of all the watches we're showing today, I would argue this is the best when it comes to value for money. This is the Monte Triumph Silver. Absolutely gorgeous design, nice sword hands, very sort of simple, elegant, and a cross of multiple watches. I don't feel like they've come up with a completely original design, but I also don't feel like they've ripped off one watch. What I feel like they've done is they've taken so many design cues from multiple brands, bought it all together into this beautiful package and provided it at a stupendous price. Now this, date down there at 6 o'clock, Triumph stated in red, it all contrasts beautifully and the finishing is exquisite. You've got a nice screw down crown, signed screw down crown as well, elegant case shape and size, which we'll get onto in a second, and very simple exhibition case back, showcasing the automatic Monte caliber M-22, and this one is from July 2020 with its full box and paperwork, original bracelet and all links included. And the bracelet is again something to definitely sort of take your time with and appreciate. You've got a nice deployment right there, which pops out and allows for extra on the length. The clasp is all milled and the links are screwed, so again everything is done to a very high standard, as you'd expect from Monte. And as I say, July 2020, full box and paperwork, and when you see the price, I think you're going to be very surprised. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. It fits beautifully and is super comfortable. This is 38.5mm by 47mm lug to lug, only 10mm thick, which for an automatic is incredible. And also I think it's one of the thinnest watches we've looked at today, other than the ladies Rolex. 20mm lugs as well, so endless options on the lugs. And they also, the company Everest bands are the same company that make Monte. So the Everest bands, I believe, will fit the Monte beautifully. So the options keep going in terms of what you can have. So go check it out on the website today. From there to something very left field, we're going to take a look at the Meistersinger Chronoscope, or Chronoscope, however you want to say it. Let's take a close look at this awesome watch. Okay, moving on to something far left field in my opinion, Meistersinger. So we've had quite a few of these over the years, and I've always said I like what they do. I think it's nice to see brands doing something different and sticking true to it, even when at times it's not worked out particularly great for them. Meistersinger has never been a brand that's exactly flown off the shelves, and it's not sold millions of units, but they're sticking true to what they're doing, and they're doing it well. So this is a perfect example of that. This is the Meistersinger Chronoscope, as it's known, or Chronoscope. Chronograph, basically, as you can see, automatic chronograph, still featuring the iconic single hand telling the time. So it's quite simple. Let's show you how you tell the time. So when you pull the crown out, you're now in time setting mode, he says. There you go. So as we come around, you can see now it's 9 o'clock, now it's 9:15, now it's 9:30, 9:45, 10 o'clock. That's how simple it is. Now, telling the time at a quick glance isn't as easy. It will take some getting used to, that's for sure. But it's certainly legible. Eventually, when you get used to it, it's much easier. And you can see the chronograph right here. Start spinning around. You've got your single hand, which goes around, and a 30-minute totalizer over there as well at 12 o'clock. All nicely done, beautifully presented, and all still done in Meistersinger's DNA. As we flip it over, you can see a nice automatic movement with exhibition case back. So the reference to this one is MM402G. And this is an automatic modified Valjoux 7750 inside. And this one's from circa 2015 with its box and paperwork. I believe the paperwork is just unsigned, hence why it's circa 2015, which is when the original owner bought it. This is the original strap and buckle. We can provide an additional strap because this one is a bit worn, but it's still totally wearable. And we've seen far worse, that's for sure, hence why we kept it on it. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go on wrist. It's certainly no small watch, but again, it still does wear surprisingly well. This is 43mm by 51mm lug to lug, so it's only 1mm over that sweet point I always mention. So the 43mm doesn't matter so much, it's the lug to lug length. This is 14.7mm thick, so just shy of 15mm, so it definitely does sit tall. You're not going to be fitting this under a tight cuff, that's for sure. And 20mm lugs, so endless options on the strap, and thanks to the smaller lug size, it makes the watch appear that little bit smaller, because traditionally 43mm are usually 22mm lugs, so having 20mm just brings that taper right down. to the buckle. So go check this one out on the website today. Now let's go on to Unimatic. We had pretty much all of the Unimatic Messina Labs at one stage. We've just sold the blue one, and now we have another one to bring to you guys. Let's take a closer look at this awesome watch. And here we go, another Unimatic and another Messina Lab collaboration. This time it's the U1-MLB from 2020. An absolutely gorgeous example with the classic black dial, the sort of faux patina, and the vibrant orange minute hand, which you can see paired on this bright orange strap really does pop. You've got the classic no indice bezel, which is all black with just the loom pip, nice screw down crown as usual, and a nice closed case back showcasing the sort of design which Messina Lab has gone with. This is a limited edition of 200 pieces, and inside is the automatic Seiko caliber NH35A, so that means it does have a ghost position when you pull out the crown. Past the date, as you can see there is no date. And as I say, circa 2021 with its full box and paperwork and both straps. But let's show this one on wrist and taut dimensions. Here we go, nice and quick on this one. You guys know what I think of Unimatic. I think they're fantastic, and I think the branding is on point. They're really making waves within the collector community, and I think that's only going to continue. So this is the traditional U1 sizes at 41mm by 49mm lug to lug, 13.5mm thick and 22mm lug, so endless options right there. Although the two straps it comes with, I think really tick the box. Unimatic have always done well with that in my opinion. So go check this one out on the website and pick it up just as quick as someone picked up the blue one that we listed last weekend. And last but by no means least, we're going to be taking a look at the Unimatic and Hodinkee. So this has the Sellita movements that you guys always ask me if the Unimatics have. This one does. This is the U2H. Let's take a closer look. And a Unimatic and Hodinkee collaboration. So they came out with 3 watches. They came out with the U1 and the U1 GMT and the U2 here that we have. So the U2's totally different case profile to the U1. It wears very differently, it looks very different, and everything about it is kind of different. This one has the California dial, as you can see, which is really awesome. For those of you who don't know, California dial is half Roman and half Arabic numerals. As you can see, this is done as such. Really gorgeous watch, U2-H, limited to 500 pieces worldwide, and inside, most importantly, is an automatic Sellita SW200-1. So this is when they have finally started to upgrade movements from Seiko to Sellita. And again, not that there's anything wrong with Seiko at all, but the kind of price points they're starting to ask, I think Sellita and ETA should be expected, so it's good to see the sort of brand move in that way. This is from 2021. It does come with its box and paperwork and both straps. You can see we have it paired on this one at the moment, because the previous ones we sold on the other strap, so just to spice things up a little bit in the photography department so they don't all look the same, we've put it on the opposite strap. But let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on wrist. So a very different wearing profile with the U2. This is 41mm by 49mm lug to lug, so that's essentially the same. 13mm thick, which is essentially the same, and 22mm lugs, which again is essentially the same. However, the case profile is very flat and very straight lug, so you either love that or you don't. It wears very differently. It doesn't hug the wrist as well, but if you have a slightly bigger wrist, it's still going to sit really, really nice. So go check this one out on the website if you're a fan. So there you have it, guys and girls. This week's drop, a varied drop from everything you can possibly imagine. This is what we like to do. We want to bring you this variety, and we're working our hardest to keep this kind of variety every single week. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, and I think the video before, we're going to probably start reducing the numbers a little bit, but it all depends on how many watches we get in. If we get another 40, 50 watches in like before, then obviously we're going to keep the watch numbers high each week to sort of 12, because it's manageable, but also it's not too many. However, I would prefer sort of 8 watches a week. I think it would be much nicer. It would be much more refined, it would feel like, even though we sort of handpick everything we bring to the website. 8 feels more like we do rather than 12. Maybe it's all just in my head. Let me know what you think down in the comments. What's a good number each week to provide? What would you like to see? So yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care.